Welcome. I'm Christy Berger, Assistant Director of Social, Emotional, and Behavior Wellness. The Indiana Department of Education was thrilled to partner with Dr. Lori Desautel and Dr. Brandie Oliver from Butler University to support social emotional learning for our Hoosier students. This work is a direct reflection from Indiana educators diligently working to meet the needs of all students. Thank you for the hard work you do every day to meet the needs of Indiana students. The Department of Education is excited to work alongside schools and districts as they invest in social emotional learning for all students and adults. Please stay tuned to hear from Dr. Brandie Oliver about the Social Emotional Learning Toolkit.
Hello, thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited to be with you and to share a very exciting project. My name is Dr. Brandie Oliver, and I'm an associate professor here at Butler University in the Graduate School Counseling Program. And I had the great pleasure of working with Dr. Lori Desautel at Butler University as well. And we worked on a project the last few months developing a social emotional learning toolkit and an educational neuroscience toolkit. And we're here to talk with you about the different components in those toolkits. Today I'm going to kind of review some of the social emotional learning toolkit parts and the different elements in that toolkit and how you can apply and use those different parts. The toolkit is not a unique toolkit for just certain people in the school. It's really been designed to be user-friendly for teachers, for school counselors, school psychologists, school social workers, administration. Really anyone can use that toolkit. It's also, I think, something that our state's really working towards is the MTSS model, the multi-tiered systems of support. And so I really see this as something that should be implemented as a Tier 1 support. And then hopefully you can see some of the activities and resources that can be used in Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions as well. So again, just wanted to kind of give you an overview today. That's really the intent of our video and our time together. And then hopefully you can have some time to, after you have this chance to watch the video, dig into it. And always feel free to reach out, and we're here to support you in your work in the schools. All right, so part one of the toolkit starts looking at what is social emotional learning. I think we use that term quite frequently, so just kind of giving everyone a clear and universal definition of social emotional learning, and looking at CASEL and taking those 5 different elements and then connecting them with Indiana's social emotional learning standards that have recently been developed with Dr. Lori and I spent some time looking at some social emotional learning standards for the state of Indiana. Next, we look at the research, best practice, the effectiveness of when schools do adopt social emotional learning standards, infuse those in curriculum, also adopt effective evidence-based practices and programs and social emotional learning standards. So looking at best practices, not just for students, but also what happens with teachers, because we know teacher burnout is a real concern in our schools. And so there's been some really great research in the importance of social emotional learning and teachers and the great effects and outcomes on teacher and teacher wellness. And so that's also included in this toolkit. And then how do we do this? So if a school is really new to this work, what are the steps to get started? Maybe schools are kind of, they've already adopted some pieces of this, so there's then some intermediate. So if you've kind of done a little bit of this work, where do you start? So kind of a developmental approach to this. And then I know that there's some schools that have been doing this for a while, so maybe the advanced schools, then we're looking at this from an advanced lens, so kind of a scaffolding approach to this. So all the way from schools that are just getting new to this, kind of in the infancy, to schools that are already been doing this for quite some time. So the third piece of the section 1 is looking at those elements. And there's all different kinds of pieces when we look at this with professional development. So the toolkit looks at what are the needs of professional development, best practices around professional development, knowing that some teachers really have not had a lot of social emotional learning in their pre-service teaching program, all the way to some teachers have been doing this work for quite some time. Also looking at teaching best practices. CASEL's done some really great work looking at a model called, the acronym is SAFE. So what we know about social emotional learning best practices when it comes to teaching is looking at sequenced approaches. So it needs to really start in preschool. So there needs to be a sequenced model. It needs to be active, so the A stands for active. We need our students to be able to get up and practice these things. So we can't really teach social emotional learning without students being able to actively try these strategies. It needs to be focused. These skills are very focused. And then E is explicit. So social emotional learning are explicit behaviors and skills that we want our students to be able to learn. So the safe approach to social emotional learning teaching best practice is clearly outlined, clearly explained, and some specific examples are included in the toolkit. Also in the best practices, we look at school to community partnerships and the importance of including the community in the social emotional learning approach, as well as including your family and your families in this work, because we want this to happen at school, but we want our students to also take these skills and behaviors into their home. So how do we do this? How do we involve families in this work? And then also, we don't want this to feel like a standalone. So social emotional learning skills and behaviors shouldn't just be something that we do for the first 10 minutes or the middle of the day. We really want these skills to be embedded throughout the curriculum, something that feels like it's a part of our school community. So that's something also that is discussed in the toolkit. So that's really a big part of the section 1 that's discussed in the toolkit. And then section 2 is really a dedicated time and practice to all of the different multiple resources, strategies that really discuss social emotional learning in great depth. I think that that's one thing that I notice when I'm out in schools is, how do I do this? I've got all of this content that I need to teach. How do I do social emotional learning? And I think that when I am able to sit down and have some time to talk to teachers, it is really interesting of how quickly and how easily it is to really infuse social emotional learning into content area. So for example, literacy. It's really easy to infuse social emotional learning discussions when you're teaching literacy. Social studies, we can have some really great debates and bring in some social emotional learning standards into debates, and how to have critical conversations, and how to look at empathy through the lens of different past historical figures. So I think that we've tried to develop some really great strategies, some activities, some resources in that section too, and to try to drill down into how you can do this in your everyday content areas, as well as to enhance some of those skills. There's a list of children's books. There's a list of books for middle school and high school in the resource section in section 2. And I just thought I would go over two activities. There's a feelings check. I actually use that in some of my graduate classes. The feelings check helps you look at self-awareness, some self-regulation skills. And so basically what that looks at is a student might come in, and you can use this individually, you could use this in a whole classroom setting, and it's teaching students about their feelings, but also at 3 different levels. So physically, I might be feeling tired, but cognitively, I might be feeling alert, and emotionally, I might be feeling happy. So teaching them a wide range of feelings, because oftentimes we say, how are you feeling? And your response might not even be a true feeling word. They might say, okay. So a feelings check is included in the resource section. So that was just one example that I thought I would share with you today. And then a second example is how you can use TV and movie clips. Students truly do engage sometimes with just short movie, TV clips, and you can kind of take a temperature of the room and see kind of what your students are really interested into. You really can understand and get to know your students and be that connection, because relationships are so critical in this work. And so what are your students out wanting to go watch in the movies? What are they watching on TV? And bring in short movie clips, because they can really start to dissect those movie clips, the characters in those movies, and learn through empathy, like what feelings are they seeing, what do they think that those characters are thinking, and so they can start to be able to talk about others much more easily than talking about themselves first. And so I think that those are some really great ways to start engaging in some of this social emotional learning. And again, these are just a few. These are just 2 things that I thought I would share with you today. So I hope that you take some time, take a look at the Educational Neuroscience Educator Toolkit, take a look at the Social Emotional Learning Educator Toolkit. We are very excited about this work. It was a great, fun learning experience that Dr. Lori and I had a chance to do this summer, and we're excited to share this work with you. For more information and to find these toolkits, please visit the links below.